Greetings, everybody. This is Patricia Cori coming to you from the Azores Islands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Appropriately, I'm speaking about Atlantis today because that's where I am. I'm in Atlantis. Many of you know that I know that, and so do so many of the locals here. I suppose the reason why I decided to come to you today with the story of Atlantis is because we're in the Atlantean Paradigm big time. And I'm an old Atlantean, and many of you are too, and we are remembering. And it's so important at this crucial moment because here we are, we've just come through solstice. And how about those energies? I didn't sleep at all, hence the baggy, tired face. And the incredible Ring of Fire eclipse, which I wasn't able to see, but I've seen pictures. Mamma mia. And as this is all unfolding now, June 20, 21, 22, I wanted to address what's going on a little bit here because today is the day that marches are planned for the Luciferian agenda, and that is its purpose, intent is to convince people that we need the one world order. Gee, interesting how they call in their troops. And I thought about how Atlantis fell, how we are at that same precipice, although I believe that this time the light wins. But what was the dynamic then, and how is that the same dynamic now? What I have pieced together about Atlantis in my recall of my own personal lives there and countless interviews and exchanges with people who recall their Atlantean lifetimes is something that I see unfolding now, and that is that there was the extreme polarity, the dark forces that eventually brought Atlantis down, and the light forces that were so complacent. They thought the light had it. I hope you get my drift. They were complacent. They were very cerebral. They were highly technological as we are now, and they had lost the focus, the humanity. They never dreamed that complacency would yield to the dark force rising to the point that it completely annihilated the continent. And remember, Atlantis was a continent, not an island, and much of the earth. And we're here again. Here we are. We're at the Atlantean Paradigm again. We have a lot of complacent people. And, well, okay, we have the very focused forces, again, the dark forces that are, we don't need to keep elaborating on. There's so much information now flying around that one can almost feel their head spin around trying to decipher what's truth, what resonates, what is in overzealous reporting from the alternative and the non-alternative sources and media. But what I'm concerned about is the complacency of people who are either still stuck in fear and denial, and even people who declare themselves to be awakened and enlightened and still don't understand that they are needed now. It's time to get out from the background. It's time to stop depending on the warriors on the front lines to do the work and to be in the background saying, yeah, that's really wonderful. I really love and light. I just don't want to put myself out there. Well, guess what? Out there is where we are. We're out there. We've got, who would have thought? Who would have thought 10 years ago, 20, we won't even discuss, that we would be seeing this kind of body politic mutating human consciousness, separating us from our air, from prana, with this health situation, and blocking us from our power in that very essential way. If you aren't breathing, baby, you are not connecting to divinity. You are not connecting to source. You can be cerebral, have thoughts, but you are not bringing it in. You are not nourishing, electrifying your electromagnetic body, and hence you're disconnected. Okay, well, my message right now is it's time for all of us, I mean all of us, to stand for the light. Because what's underway and being tolerated, I mean, look at what is being tolerated. Think about it. Marches, Luciferian agenda, marches in the streets. No doubt there's going to be a lot of disruption. And people are just kneeling to it, taking the knee to it. Every kind of excuse people don't even know what they're taking a knee for anymore. It's obedience, it's slavery, it's unacceptable. And it starts with you taking your breath back and remembering. Those of you who can remember your Atlantean lifetimes, remember something important. If you were on the dark side of Atlantis, you've got to get over it. It's just like remembering what our ancestors did and feeling guilt. I don't accept that paradigm. And feeling guilt over what you might have done thousands of years ago, either. This is the present. This is the now. What are you going to do now? What are you going to do with this day? What are you going to do with your light? You're being called. This is truly I'm not going to call it Armageddon because I refuse to empower that concept, but there is no question that we are at the spiritual showdown here, and you are needed. So either, if you do have this Atlantean memory and you feel you haven't been able to unmask the third eye because you're carrying guilt for what you did, I hereby declare that you can forgive yourself for that and get on with your life. That was then. You needed to know and understand how it works so that in this lifetime you can be on the other side, understand how to disarm it, and get to work, rather than blocking your power, blocking your vision, because it's too horrible to remember that you were playing with fire. So what? So you did. Then there's the other side, where you may have been a light worker or in the priesthood, and we got complacent. We never believed for a minute that the power, the dark side, could take the power, could strip civilization, strip humanity to the point that they did. And we were complacent. We believed that nothing could touch us, nothing could shift it. And they took the power. So there's also that memory. I'm also running into that, of people that are afraid of that, of having yielded to it, and therefore being sucked into it in some way. And you know what I really, part of this whole feel guilty about the ancestors, I just can't help but wonder if that is also part of the design. Well, I don't wonder. I don't wonder one bit. That is part of the design, to disempower you now, this incarnation. I mean, the obvious disempowerment is having to get on your knees and cry and beat your chest about how guilty you are about your ancestors. But it's a deeper thing. It's stripping of you of the power of many lifetimes. Many lifetimes. Not just what your ancestors did, but whatever there was, in whatever you carry in that karmic sack of yours, you want to disassociate from, because you're building in this guilt system, and you're building in this no breathing policy as a living three-dimensional creature on planet Earth, right? So I implore you, in these days, today and tomorrow, we have extreme energies still at work here. The dark side is trying to use them. Let's neutralize that. Let's stand in the light. And I mean bigger than you ever have before. bigger than lovely messages on social media. Determination, focus, intention. We are the light brigades. Now, I'm not suggesting, as Magenta Pixie brought out in a recent exchange we did, don't go waving your white sword around if you don't know how to use it. So you don't have to be in the front lines, in the warrior brigades, but by God, in the 3rd, 4th, 7th, 1000th rows, we need to push this light into all the dark spaces so that we don't see the Atlantean outcome happen again. And you know, in all of our talk about ascension and the earth changes and the many dimensional contexts that people are resonating with, remember one thing. No matter what happens to this gorgeous planet, it will survive humanity. Mother Earth is a biological wonder. It is a life-propagating unit of consciousness, and it is far greater than anything humankind or AI or ET can do to it. It will continue as long as one blade of grass can find its way through a crack in the pavement. Life will never be destroyed on this planet. Now that might mean that we, the human race, dwindle down, or in an ascension configuration, move on to being affiliated some way with the planet, but on a different frequency pattern completely. You know, a lot of people are putting out a lot of theories, and of course I'm one of them with my works, the Sirian Revelations. And a lot of it is very cerebral, important, but very cerebral and very confusing. And we have got to get our discernment machinery up and running. It has to resonate in your heart, or it's not valid. It's just not. Let me reiterate, let me say that it's not valid for you. Maybe valid for the person who's saying it, but if it doesn't resonate in your heart, you're not going to be able to use it. You're not going to be able to take the energy from it and work with it and bring it forward, which is everything that's needed now. Forward the light, forward the love. Bring in the love, the love, the love. That's what we have. I don't care what dimension I resonate on. I don't care what star system I come from. I have ideas about it, but you've noticed I rarely talk about myself. Don't care. I'm here. I figured it out. I came here to do something. I'm doing my best. But what I do care about is that all of us recognize that this is the Atlantean Paradigm moment. And all of us are called to contribute in every way you possibly can, bringing it through the heart, not your brain. So that, you know, what I'm seeing now is this perpetuation of dialogue about extraordinary galactic concepts. But I want to see more love. I want to feel love. I hope you feel mine. And in these next days, this day and tomorrow, when love is not the priority of a lot of people, please send that out. We need to diffuse this thing. We are winning. We are not going to see the outcome of Atlantis, but let's not get complacent. All right? You know, the Sirian High Council have said that it's when you're complacent, nothing gets done. So let's remember that. High gear, everybody. Big hearts. And as far as this breathing thing, which drives me crazy, I just want to talk about virus, germs, and biology. So in this frenzy to sterilize everything, the abuse of chemicals on the planet is out of control. I mentioned in a former video that they bleached all, yes, read me, all the beaches in Spain, Spain being coastal, they bleached with disinfectant so that people wouldn't go on the beach. The excuse was so they wouldn't, so they kill any virus or something. But yeah, you know, you can leave that up to the negative ions pushing in from the ocean, which is which ultimately are the essential of good health. So all this bleaching, all this sterilizing, it's doing a lot of damage. And I'm not going to keep harping on, harping, that's a little Freudian slip, on what it means not to breathe. I think, you know, a lot of you still don't understand it. I'm trying to speak calmly about it because everybody's very worked up about it. And I even also get worked up about it. But I think there needs to be room for us to be kind to each other instead of this rage if we don't agree, or if somebody walks in a room without a mask and you want to kill them. People have been threatened to be killed because they're not wearing a mask. We need to be kinder. We need to talk to each other. We need to understand that the human race is being denied the sovereign right to breathe. And bear in mind, you know, you can do without food for a couple of weeks. You can do without water for a couple of days. But you can only do without breathing, without air, for maximum a couple of minutes. Let that sink in. And know that these devices that you're wearing, if you are, the mask, the plastic visor, what else is there? Oh, now they've got the plastic mask. Saw something, that was interesting. The mask with the plastic visor built onto it. So you've just basically got a no breath enclosure over your entire face. And you will get sick. You'll get sick for real. Remember that this earth thrives on viruses and bacteria. It's natural order of things, unless they're genetically enhanced. But without your immune system, without your allowing your immune system to deal with it, we're doomed. Human species is doomed. Why aren't the animals dropping dead from this virus? Did you think about that? They're breathing machines. Even though they're trying to convince us that our pets are going to need a vax as well, because that sells. The bottom line is, this is quite the orchestrated event. Now, I've gone off track here, as I always do, because I wanted to talk about about the paradigm. But, you know, the Atlantean paradigm. But, of course, even this is part of it, because people were stripped of their power with mind control in Atlantis, too. They gave it away. It is so easy for some people, for most people, to give away their power. So remember, you are needed now. And I come to you, I want to represent calm. I want to represent balance. And I want to bring through the love for humankind, the love for the Mother Earth, the animals. I don't want to be cerebral. I want to be heart-centered. And invite everyone to calm down, to breathe, to bring your light out in the gentlest way, and then build the force of it. And rather than being against something, be for goodness, be for power, be for love. Because as long as we're against the opposition, we're not getting anywhere. I hope that makes sense, because I'm speaking from the heart, and as always, I have no script. Okay, guys, so it is the 21st. The energies are very powerful. I'm all over the road. I mean, sleeping, forget it. And I hope you're doing something wonderful. I'd like you to really think about, without getting hooked into, oh, there go the dogs, the violence that appears will unfold today. Let's not buy into it. Let's radiate light around it, through it, over and under it, together. And remember that this time, Atlantis does not fall. Whatever resonance you are holding, if you believe you're 5D, 4D, it doesn't matter if you're not in the heart. So let's get out of our heads. Let's get out of the volleyball of heady information for just a moment and be completely, totally focused on sending light into those dark corners. Your light is needed now more than ever before. Okay? Thank you for listening. I send you love, and I hope that you hear me. This is Patricia Cori signing out. Take care.